Second, please. There. And here. Oops. All right. Awesome. Here. Good. All right. Well, I hope everybody had a great trading day today. So it was a Thursday, right? They tried to do a big dip buy today and just couldn't quite push it to where we were green all over the place, right? So, but it was an interesting move overnight, right? We'll take a look at that here when we look at the futures here in a little bit. In the meantime, we're going to be wrapping up our series here today on mastering the mind when trading, right? And so we've talked about some really cool topics this week, right? We talked about FOMO, we talked about fear, and today we're going to go over the topic of greed. But before we get started, everything we're going to talk about is for educational purposes only and not investment advice. So please take a moment to review this disclaimer. Awesome. Good. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a look and see where we left off the market today. Then we're going to take a look at the futures and see what we're up to or down to this evening, what might be setting up going into tomorrow. And then we're going to take a look at the topic, and then we'll go through questions and chart requests. So let's get started. All right. So SPX guys, still red on the month, so this is getting kind of interesting, right? So we're down about 15 points right now, today, and just a really choppy start to the month so far. Hard to get some clarity. It'll be interesting to see what kind of action we get going into tomorrow. Right now, everything's still okay here on the McClellan Oscillator, right? We're still over the mid Bollinger Band here, but we're starting to drift down from the upper Bollinger Band, right? So that remember that original close that we had up here, right? Bearish divergence, and then we just kind of sideways and down. Now we're kind of below that upper Bollinger Band, right? So it's getting a little bit interesting here on the weekly chart. Daily chart, again, talk about choppiness, right? We did have a cool range today, a little bit of a better range than yesterday's really kind of tight inside doji day. We had another doji day today, right, which implies chop, right? We closed smack dab on the flat 8 EMA. It doesn't get more indecisive than this. So tomorrow is going to be a very interesting day for the week, right? To see how this week ends, right? To see if this week is going to finish with a red candle or a green candle, and to see whether or not this thing wants to close below the 80 EMA before a full trading week or back above it, right? So pretty interesting stuff. We've got some non-farm payrolls tomorrow, things like that are on the radar. Of course, we'll be talking about that in the bubble report. But anyway, we've got that. We've got that on the radar here to see how this goes. So let's take a look at the wave count right now. So wave count, guys, I'm still going with the bullish one for now. There is the potential for a bearish one, right? We haven't taken out this level, so this still could be kind of like a 1 ABC 2, and then we could be looking at a larger wave 3 down. I just have the bullish count up here right now. So tomorrow's price action should give us some pretty good clues. This to me looks like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that we finished wave 1. This could be an ABC wave 2. We might have started a 1, maybe a little bit of a pullback here, wave 2. Futures down a little bit this evening, right? And then possibly wave 3 to work its way up, right? So we'll keep an eye on that and see how it goes here on the SPX tomorrow. In the meantime, the futures, like we said, down about 4 points right now after hours. It's kind of a tough close today. It's just looked like we were bull flagging a little bit here on the hourly chart, right? But you can kind of see we're starting to drift a little bit lower right here. Now, what was the deal with today, right? So today was actually pretty interesting. We were pretty bearish at the open, right? There was some good signals here to get us short. So we had a nice short opportunity at the open, shorted SPY options that we mentioned on the live stream this morning in the group. So that was fun. And then we also pointed out the possibility for a dip buy here as we got oversold in some of our key levels. And we got a nice inside 5 up, right? That ended up giving a good push right here. And then we got this bull flag. Things had kind of started to form a little bit bullish, right? You can kind of see maybe the start of like a head and shoulders inverse. And then boom, news came out here with increasing volume, right? That that they're no longer going to do they're talking about not doing the capital gains tax, right? So that's huge news, right? Because that was some news that got the market, going down recently. So now the market's like, oh yay, right? But there's still like a floor, right? So the proposal of the swap was a floor. So basically just saying, hey, a lot of these big companies that have been paying zero, have zero liability, are gonna have to owe something, right? That's kind of like the deal there. So we'll see how it goes. Initially we had some exuberance on it. I thought this thing was just gonna go crazy and eventually work its way up to all-time highs, but instead it decided to chop for the rest of the day. So some fun at the open and some chop into the close, and we're still just kind of grinding our way down here this evening. So for the most part, right, we got this kind of this channel that we're looking at too. But keep an eye on this geometric line and see how that holds going into the evening. It also could be a little bit of a falling wedge right here. So we'll see how that goes too. So good stuff, and we'll get some clarity in the morning. Usually around 8:30, when those numbers come out, right? We sometimes we'll see some pops and see if we can get some direction. But again, it's all about how we close this week, right? If we close red on the week, well, then we've probably got a little bit of a standoffish type tone, right? We're still overall bullish, right? But kind of standoffish. If we close green, right, things can kind of get interesting, right? So we'll see how that goes. All right. Cool stuff. All right, so let's take a look at the topic. So we're going to be wrapping up here this week. We've been talking about mastering the mind when trading, right? So the big thing, the big kind of thing to hammer home this week is that most of trading is in the mind, right? If you think about it, right, if you don't trade at all, there's no chance, right? There's no chance of winning or losing, right? It's the market doesn't even exist if you don't even think about it, right? But when you do think about it and you do start to put your mind in it, right, then you're joining a lot of other minds that are looking at the market too, and you're in potentially a world of the unknown, right? So pretty much at all times, right? So why do we do that? Why do we do this to ourselves? Why do we enter the ring every day where there's a potentially new contender and news stories and all that stuff? I think one, because it's fun, right? I think the longer you get into this and the longer you get into trading, right, it just becomes fun, right? And that's how it should be, right? And so that's kind of what I propose replacing greed with. So a lot of folks, especially when they first start trading, right, is they enter in greed. Now there's a lot of successful traders out there that are driven by greed, right? But I would propose that it's probably not the best state of mind to be in when trading. Greed can make us do a lot of things. For some people, it makes them make crazy decisions, right? And some of those crazy decisions can be more profitable than the crazy decisions that are unprofitable, right? But is that really a good method to trade with, right? No, right? We want to have a consistent plan. So that's the idea, right? So if we eliminate greed, right, how do we do that, right? Because what are we doing? What are we trading for? We have to have something to replace it, right? So a lot of times we can improve our trading by replacing greed with goals, right? So replace greed with goals that align with your with the ability, with your ability to grow and learn as the market continues to change every day, right? This is a very, very important thing, right? What are your goals with trading? What are your goals with trading? Well, I mean, one of them should be actually to become good at trading, right? I mean, just to understand price action, to understand why things change, to understand what volume means, to understand what different indicators mean, to understand what trend lines mean, right? So this is a really big part of understanding, right? So just entering just so we can, hopefully it goes up and we can make tons of money, right? It sort of kind of wears itself thin after a while. So you kind of have to have an enjoyment for it initially for trading, right? So that's kind of an initial goal. Another goal is once you start to get good at trading, right, is kind of establish a sensible sensible reason, right, for or a even a monetary goal, not a greed-based goal, but a monetary goal. Like by improving this much over the next year, then I could get to the point where I can fill in the blank, right? It could be quit my job, right? It could be get a new car, right? Pay my bills, right? Whatever the case is. I mean, always and it always start small, right? So I mean, it just that greed with the goals, right? It helps us. It gives us something to work for, right? And something to strive for. So it's really, really important to do that. Another thing to do is to replace greed with just an overall basically like a love, right, for the market, right? So just a different perspective, right? So sort of like a perspective where you're more open to ideas of what's changing and what's happening in the market, right? So be open to new possibilities. Greed is just looking for that big move, right, and just trying to look for that big thing. That can get a lot of people in a lot of trouble. So a big thing that we said, there was a big thing circulating recently here on this AMC move, and guys, we talked about this last night, right? We're like, this ain't going well, right? That type of thing, right? So with these meme names, there's been a lot of greed out there. Now, I mean, sure, is it fun and all that stuff? Yeah. I mean, if you're trading with like a little bit and having fun, or if you have a good setup in there, right, this could be some good action. And keep in mind, guys, there's a lot of greed going on in here too, right? There's a lot of retail money that's trying to become a millionaire, right? And that's all they want, right? So but what happens when you become a millionaire? Right, just everything's better, right? Or what are we trying to accomplish, right? So that's the idea. But there's also millionaire investors, right? The institutions are trading in this too, right? They're playing their game too, right? And so we pay attention to a lot of stuff. We mentioned this yesterday. We were bullish on it yesterday. We were not bullish on it today. We were bearish on a couple names like BBBY with some unusual put activity from the bubble report today, right? But there was some stuff circulating today about Reddit, like on Reddit, about somebody who sold an out of the money call on AMC and lost $600,000, right? They thought they only lost $100,000, but because of the how rapid it was, it ended up being $600,000, and they were like really down about this because they don't know how they're going to recover from it, right? They basically, blew up a very, very large account playing with this kind of this silly stuff because of greed, right? Right. So what did we talk about, right? We talked about this. So replace greed, right, with goals, right, and reasonable, attainable goals, right? That makes sense, right? And the other thing that we said too is replace greed, right? One of those goals should be like to wanting to learn the market, right? Just jumping in crazy in options, in a stock that you've never traded before, in volatility that you've probably never seen before, right, is a recipe for disaster. And that's exactly what happened. That's a very expensive lesson that person learned, and it's all because of greed. Right? So when we start to replace that with goals, and we start to slowly build, and we start to learn, and we start to grow, right, and we start to make rational observations about the market, like we said yesterday, all the different steps that we talked about yesterday for fear, right? We can get rid of fear, right? Because greed is just like any of these other kind of primal instincts, right? It can drive people, but it's really not a healthy state of mind, right? It just isn't, right? So, being calm, being collected, right? Obviously, trading. Obviously, everybody wants to make a profit, right? But appreciating the price action, managing risk, right, and handling the and managing the trade to get to those areas is a great way to do it, right? The other thing, of course, and this has been the big theme of the week, is having a plan, right? So what is the point of a plan? The point of the plan is, one, it defines our risk. It also defines our target, right? And so if we hit our target, let's say we had a bull flag right here, like today I tweeted out in the public Twitter, I tweeted out this SPY bull flag, right, and it started to break out, right? So, but are we going to get greedy about this if there's no volume? One of the things I looked for was increased volume, right? We didn't get that, right? We really didn't get a lot of increase. So this is not really heavy volume that was coming in here. So this was not a breakout, right? So at that point, if you're long and you got some profit on there, move the stops up, right? Take the profit. Make sure you get some profit on this thing, right? And then, and then it pulls back, right? This way you're not really down in the position and then hoping and then getting greedy and then maybe averaging down, right? And trying to make a potential decent position even worse or a bad position even worse, right? So that's the idea, right? So, but what's the goal, right? So that's managing the trade, right? But my goal is, am I going to get greedy to get to the ultimate target? Well, here's your flag, right? So you duplicate this, right? And here's your target, right? So if it did break out there with increasing volume, that would be the target. But if it doesn't get here, do we raise stops along the way? Sure. Do we take profit along the way? Yeah, right? I mean, we gotta have, have it make sense, right? And so anyway, that's kind of the idea. Is having a plan is so important. It protects us from a lot of things. It protects us from FOMO. We talked about that earlier this week. If you have a plan, right, you don't get FOMO in names that you don't trade, right? You talk about fear. If you have a plan, right, we don't get afraid, right, because we've got a plan. We're confident and we practice, right? And then we don't get greedy about it too, right? Because we look for our setup. We know that not all setups move, right? Just because they set up doesn't mean that it's right. The market is a infinite amount of random possibilities, right? So if we see a setup, great. If it works 60% of the time, 80% of the time, great. If it's one of those 20% of the times and it starts to work, right, let's still make sure we don't get hurt in the position, right? So that's the idea. Anyway, guys, hopefully you found that helpful. At this point now, if anybody's got any questions or chart requests, please feel free to plug those in the chat window. We'll get through as many as we can, trying to wrap up as early as possible so we can all get a good night's sleep and have another awesome trading day tomorrow. So good stuff. All right. So Shirley sent a few in via email. So Shirley, I hope you're doing great out there. Let's take a look at these. Yeah. So love. This is such a great weak name, right? This is just a beautiful ugly name, right? So I mean, I love this triangle breakdown right here. Increased volume to the downside. We got a little bit of cloud support right here, but very, very weak. The airline sector very weak going into tomorrow. That was a great find on that one. SSRM. Another nice breakdown on this one too. Lost some geometric levels. Also lost the 200-day moving average. Very, very interesting on the mining one. GDX is another miner name out there. Again, a lot of these miner names got weak. Guys, remember we were tracking this consolidation. Consolidate. Which way is it going to go? Oh, looks like down. Right, we got a couple gaps below that it could test. 10, TEN. Let's take a look. Nice measured move up. Careful chasing this one, right? A lot of times these are just, this is the setup, like up, sideways, up, right? Notice how it's almost a perfect measured move up, right? So we might see a little bit of chop after that. ACAD, let's take a look. So ACAD's starting to work its way up, right? ACAD's starting to work its way up, pushing into the in the cloud with some increasing volume. Right, this thing's been down for a while. It's been down for the account for a while. This could be starting to break out of this range right here and going into the other gap above. So let's see if that is indeed the case. Nice find on that one too. Definitely want to keep on the radar. And then we've got Schlumberger, the slob. Again, these names have been really, really strong, guys. So again, the oil names, we talked about this one last night. Got really, really tight at ADMA. It started to break out there on Schlumberger. Nice move there. And then CN. Sienna. Woo! That gap up there in earnings. Watch that upper shadow. A little bit of caution off of that. So good stuff there. The Nest, what's happening? Good to see you. Thanks for tuning in. Let's take a look at Wow Wow. So Wow Wow finally did it, right? Nice push off of that consolidation at the ADMA. Great job on that one. ENV, how about this one? Not ready yet, but it did put a lower shadow off of the ADMA. It's hanging in there, but it's starting to look like a little bit of weight is hanging on it, right? So PD is kind of drawing it down a little bit, but it hung in there. PD, again, inside day here, but again, really tight at the ADMA, so see that one's ready to pop. Some good stuff there. Nice. Really appreciate it. Mike, what's happening? Good to see you. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you're doing great. Yeah, Zoom. So good one, guys. This was on our action names from the bubble report this morning. So really cool stuff, right? So it ended up still being pretty tight right here, but this gave us a nice move right there, according to the plan in the bubble report. So really nice stuff there. But on the day, it left us with an upper shadow right there, kind of a little bit dangerous going into tomorrow. Looks like it's working on a turning point there. And then Google. So this is a pretty wild name today too, right? It gave a epic dip buy at the open here, then a harmonic, right? So you got this for the next move, and then once it finished its harmonic move, it kind of worked its way down and then chopped for the rest of the day, right? So at this point now, daily chart, it's kind of like everything else, right? We're basically just kind of floating just at the 80 minute. This one happens to have closed just below it, right? So a little bit of caution there. Yeah, my pleasure, Mike. I really appreciate it. Thanks so much. Raul, what's going on? Good to see you. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you're doing great. Bob, what's happening? Good to see you. Let's take a look at Boeing. So we talked about this one last night, guys. Right? So we said, hey, this is a possible doji sandwich, but we're kind of leaning more on the doji reversal. Why? Because look what it was doing. It was running right into this level and right into this level, right? So that is a perfect candidate for a doji reversal right there. And we got that today. Was it easy? No. Intraday, it was like, oh yeah, this thing's rallying back up, and then it took a little bit, and then it was back down, right? So a lot of times that helps us for like an intraday entry. It's like, hey, we're kind of bearish in this reversal right here. Let's wait till it sets up, and then boom, nice end of the day move right there, and approaching the ADMA. So it may give it a test there. GG, what's going on? Good to see you. Let's take a look at Neo. So Neo looking interesting, right? This also kind of got a little bullish here for us at the open, right? And then ended up kind of really just fading there for the rest of the day. So tricky name here, guys. Could be bull flagging, right? So you can see that on the 16-minute chart. Could be bull flagging here. See if it breaks out or not. Nasty upper shadow on that one. So Raul, I don't know if you remember, but do you think the US 500 could be a gem? Let's take a look. So this beach on Fuego, awesome. I really appreciate it, Raul. Thanks so much. Yeah, so the ES could be a gem, maybe. So we'll take a look here. Right now we're below the ADMA here on the SP Future, so it's just a little bit of caution off of that, but really appreciate it. The Nest, wow, IPO price was $17.15. Wow. Wait, what? How long ago was that? Oh wow, IPO price $17.15. Oh cool. How long ago was that? 3 years? I got 3 years right here. Let's go 20 years and see. Ooh, since I had oh wow, look at that. All the way back. No kidding. So it's coming right back to where it started. Wow, what a rough down move on that one to finally kind of climb its way back up after the Corona crash. Goodness gracious. So whoever invested in this IPO is finally almost profitable. Do you think they're gonna hold it any longer? We'll see, right? So that could be an interesting right there. Let's take a look at what else you got. Sometimes they just get out. They're just happy to get out of this thing. TTIN. So that's why sometimes you see those cup and handle type patterns, right? So you get the handle of the long-term investors who've been holding for all that time. Like, I'm out, right? And we got that going on. I'm not seeing this TTIN, but let's take a look at spot. Spot with a nasty pullback, guys. Red candle yesterday. It could be working on a little bit of a leading diagonal right here. This could kind of be a wave 1. We might be looking at a wave 2 here. All right, let's see if that tries to be bullish. Here, we're at the 382. Let's see how it handles the 618 here on spot. See how it does at 224, 225 level. See if that can hold, and then see if it tries to move off of that. It could be interesting. Raul, yeah, let's take a look at GM. Let's take a look. So GM, increasing volume. Improved their outlook today, right? Ford, a lot of these car companies had some numbers reported. Ford increased volume, right? Increased sales, right? So good push on this one, guys, and it's back in the channel again, right? So a little bit of an undershoot here of the channel, then trying to maybe work its way back up. So let's see if GM can actually get some follow through. That'd be nice. Good strong candle on that one today. I like it. See if that gets any more follow through the upside. And Ford too, yeah, we were just talking about that. It got really, really tight and then moved again. Again, these car companies have been pretty strong recently. I guess the whole electric vehicle thing has gotten them, kind of buzzing again a little bit there too. So Tilray, kind of a rough day today. Red spinning top. Wouldn't be surprised if it worked its way back down to the 80 EMA on that one. And Zumba, again, upper shadow off the 80 EMA right there, kind of sitting on the 50-day. Right, so see how that holds. So Brett, what's going on? Good to see you. Thanks for tuning in. Let's take a look at Roblox. So Roblox with an inside day, but look at this thing. It hit 100. It hit 103 yesterday. So really, really nice move on this one, right? So good stuff there. Let's see if it continues to work its way up. Otherwise, that's been a pretty impulsive move. So you kind of look at this here. If you start to put a count on this, only there's a 1, 2, right? If we're up here 3, maybe 4. 5. We'll see if it tries to do this, right? So one of the things that we can look at is the, what kind of retrace we're at, right? So are we here, at a 382? Not quite. It's got a little bit of room to pull back. But if it does pull back to that, let's say to the 80 May, maybe a little bit lower, right? One of the things that we could look at, right, is here, kind of like to that area right there, and see where wave 5 gets, maybe to the 618. So definitely something to keep an eye on here on Roblox. Nice to see it give a nice push there. Good push. So now we can all show our kids that if you invest in a stock instead of buy the Robux, right, that it could go up. Now hurry up and take profit, right? So anyway, so good stuff there. Anyway, so Michael, what's going on? So people really think AMC can hit $100,000 a share? Yeah, right, exactly. I love it. And Workhorse, I know, is not. Yeah, Workhorse was wild. I mean, it moved almost like an entire year's worth of range in the first 5 minutes, right? Today it was like that, and then it came back down, right? But could be an interesting pause day today. I'd wait to see the price action on this one tomorrow. There was some unusual call activity on it today, so we'll see how it goes going into tomorrow. But I don't know how sustainable it is, right? Have they won the contract with the post office yet? Goodness gracious. All right, so Square. Michelle, what's going on? Good to see you. Thanks for tuning in. Square, yeah, nasty down move here today. Looks like it's got room here to test the 200-day moving average, so definitely want to keep an eye on there. Airbnb, let's take a look at this one. Airbnb, nasty pullback off of that, right? Strong candle right here, and then nasty pullback, right? So see how it holds the 80 MA, see if that can hang in there. And then APPL, so I don't think we're going to get anything on this one. Let's look at Apple. I do the same thing. Inside day down on this one with increasing volume, and it's below the 200-day moving average. So we're below the 50, we're below the 8, we're below the 200. Hard to be bullish on this one except that it's Apple, right? So see what it's got in store right here. This could be a wave 1. It could be kind of a wave 2. Or this could be A, B, C, and then we see more move down. I mean, it's kind of a tricky count right here, but we'll see how it goes. Good stuff. Really appreciate it. And 2020, yeah, RKT, we talked about this last night in the group. We're like, what do you think the odds are of this thing actually being a short? And it really turned out to be, right? So for some reason, Rocket just does not stay up, right? It just doesn't have the jet fuel, right? It just keeps on coming up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, right? I mean, it's rarely even giving us a green candle. It gives one green candle here and then down, right? So try to move with some of the meme names, but it's just such a tough name. BB, guys, this was on our bullish radar off of the inside day. It's calmed down a little bit here today. Clove, again, they were just trying to rally this one. Like I said, it was a big reversal here off the 200-day moving average there today. So pretty cool stuff there. And then GDX looking pretty rough as it broke down out of that pennant, right? So pretty rough day there for the GDX. Very, very interesting stuff. David, what's going on? Good to see you. Let's take a look at MViz. MViz, double doji day right here, right? So let's see how it holds. We're still over the 80 MA. Got a really thin cloud right here, so see if we can get any action on that one. Would be nice. SDC is a tough one. SDC, they had a nice day today, upper shadow on this, but this is a tough name. It's tough name to trade, so especially with options. So just a little bit of caution with that one. But yeah, it's looking okay. It's got a little bit of a push there. Just watch that upper shadow. Hall of Fame Resorts, let's take a look at this one. A little bit of a doji, inside day up, but it kind of rejected the cloud right here, so might take a little more consolidation. So good stuff there. John, what's going on? Good to see you. Thanks for tuning in. Let's take a look. You got AMD. AMD with the inside day down. The only thing that's missing is increasing volume. Otherwise, I'd be like, oh, this is looking a little bit bearish, right? And CRM was on our bearish radar yesterday in the group. I'm not. Did that make the public game plan yesterday? Did I tweet that one out yesterday? Yes, I did. That was the bearish name that I had in the public game plan. And what a nice down move off of that inside day. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. This was showing some relative weakness yesterday. Software was generally weak yesterday. We got some nice follow through on that one too today. So good stuff there. Good. Yeah, my pleasure. And then TITN, thanks to the Nest. Let's take a look. Oh, you're good. Let's take a look. Titan Machinery. Titan Machinery is getting tight. tight. Anyway, so it's getting tight. See if the 80 catches up to it and see how it goes from there. So good stuff there. And then Tesla. So Tesla, guys, rough day today. News, right? Bad China delivery numbers. Oh, wait a second. Tesla's in the automobile business? I had no idea. And if you don't sell a lot of cars, sometimes the investors don't like that, right? So anyway, so it ended up dropping down here. These are our zones, our signal zones. Went from signal zone to signal zone there today. Big thing that we're kind of watching here on Tesla, and I talked about it this weekend on the Elliott Wave show, right? And the zigzag. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. ABC up. 1, 2, 3, 4. Looks like we might be working on wave 5 right here. And what does that take us? It actually takes us to a symmetrical move down and to the open gap right in the middle of this prior triangle. So bow and arrow support. Would make sense if we got there and then we consolidate a little bit and maybe worked on bouncing maybe into earnings or something like that. Well, let's see how the earnings go. Maybe they can make some more money besides Bitcoin. We'll see how that goes too. But good stuff there. And then you got win on the radar. Oh, nasty. Nasty candle on that one here today. Big drop there, increasing volume. That was nasty. Nasty on that one. Anyway, see if they get any follow to the downside. But good stuff. Yeah, and then that's my pleasure, Raul. Thanks so much for tuning in. I really appreciate everybody for tuning in this evening. Hope everybody enjoyed this series on mastering the mind when trading. I think we covered some great topics and kind of hammered home on some great ideas, right, for keeping our mental state strong when we're trading, right, and not giving in to like the classic fear, greed, right, FOMO, right, and controlling yourself. We're practicing, right. We're always improving. That's the important part. So anyway, guys, I really appreciate everybody for tuning in. I hope everybody has an awesome evening. We'll catch you guys bright and early tomorrow in the Bubble Report and in the Discord and here on YouTube for the Good Morning Market Prep video. And until then, guys, stay healthy out there and remember your risk first and stay safe so you can stay in the game. And we'll talk to you guys soon.